Hello, beautiful beings. I'm sorry if you tried to access this video live streaming. Not sure the technical difficulties that were going on and what happened. But I will be sending this out as a replay. So hopefully it is available to you now. Thank you for joining me. So, what we're really talking about tonight is we're going to talk about how to help yourself heal. And there's a couple of reasons I wanted to bring this seminar to you. Mostly because I think a lot of us are dealing with maybe it's aging type physical ailments, maybe it's injuries or chronic illness that we've developed over time. A lot of people are experiencing autoimmune type illnesses. And so there's a lot to consider when we do that. Unfortunately, I think we're missing a big piece of the puzzle when we're only looking to the medical intervention that's going to help us. Because what's nice about it is there's so many other things we can be doing that will only enhance that medical intervention. And quite often, when we're looking to treatments and medicines, they help with the symptoms, but we also want to be sure that we're dealing with maybe the underlying issue, or as well as just simply boosting our system so that it is able to coincide with the medicine, it's able to support your system to build it back up, and maybe even help deal with any side effects that you could be experiencing. And a lot of people say to me, I just don't know what the right thing to do is. This seems to work or this seems to work. And I think we're looking at it all wrong in that when you're trying to improve your health, no matter how serious or how simple it may be, there's actually never one thing we want to be doing because there's so much that affects our system. We want to be looking at all of it. And as overwhelming as that can sound, I want you to listen to this because what it really means is that we can do a lot of little things that actually aren't that hard that will make a big difference instead of making one big, huge change. And so we often look at, if it's going to be nutrition, we're going to change. We have to do this drastic change to our diet, and if it's going to do any good. Or we look at, we have to start to get an extensive fitness regime going. We need to totally change our schedule and our food. And that's really also not how healing works. So, what I say to people, and when I wanted to start this tonight, I kept saying, oh, well, what am I going to tell them is, the most important thing or the highest priority. And here's the thing to know: the most important thing to take from today is that there is not one thing to be done to improve your health. And so I'm going to go through a gamut of them so that you can look at them and see what little tweaks you can make even starting today that will start to help. And then the healing happens as it happens in nature when you do things this way. It's slow. It's kind of like evolution. It just slowly changes over time. But what's really nice about it when you make change like this, it sticks because it's not this drastic change that our body might be trying to overcome because our body's been a certain way for so long that this new thing, even if it's better, seems drastically different to it. And so often, sometimes when our body makes good changes, if it's too quick and too fast, it'll actually work to try and revert to the way it was because it's too drastic and too different. So we want to make these changes slowly over time. And they really do become so easy and habit when we do them this way that it really doesn't feel like we're doing anything. You don't want to feel like you're sacrificing or that you're, requiring willpower to get through this. So that's what we're going to talk about is all these little things. And if you take these things, which are very quite a few, um, you want to sort of look at the smallest step you can make with each one, the little tweak that you can do easily on your own to make a difference, and then you go from there. So, the other thing about natural healing that's important to know and recognize is how our body heals often feels like something might be getting, say, worse, or it might be getting, you know, it might be spiking, or maybe we also sometimes feel like there's not a drastic difference right away. But things that we tweak can actually take weeks, maybe even a month, to see a difference. So you want to stick with it, and you don't want to overreact when you're doing something that's subtle, that's natural. You don't want to overreact if it feels like that symptom might be spiking, because that is healing. That is how it goes. So imagine this. You know how when you bump your knee or hurt your knee and it all swells up, right? And you feel the pain and the swelling continues to grow. So that's the symptom spiking, right? Your body has called for extra blood to go to the area, to bring more oxygen, to kind of bring attention and healing to that area. And so it gets worse from when you even heard it in the first place. And that is really important to know, that that can often be how your body is healing. So it doesn't necessarily mean you want to be more uncomfortable. So maybe whatever you're changing that might be sort of enhancing that area, you may want to do it more gradually, but quite often that's meaning your body is bringing attention to a certain area that needs help, and that actually is what you want it to do. So that is very common in natural healing. And, say you're having trouble with stomach issues and you start taking, even people will take like a probiotic, and it'll feel like those symptoms spike, but it's working in that area. So it doesn't mean you may want to go a little bit slower, but you want to know that often that is what healing will feel like. It's a process. The results are slow. It sometimes can stir things up, but you want it to happen like it does in nature. And that is what it will be doing when it feels like that is what's going on. So I'm going to go through a pile of things with you today. I'm going to list them now. So we're going to talk about stress. I know it feels like everything we talk about talks about stress, but we're going to look at a really poignant, kind of hammer it down sort of situation. Hydration. It's not what you think. It's not about drinking more water. So we're going to hit that up quickly. Vitamins and minerals, breathing, exercise, simplifying, very key to hormone balancing, nutrition, natural influences, our energy and our emotions, how to read those, how to figure out what's going on in our body. Even your thoughts and self talk play a fundamental role. And I grappled with this for years on kind of what that was, what I was convincing myself was, what I was maybe misleading myself about. So I'm going to touch on that quickly. Sleep, 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 sleep. If there was one I might put on here as a high priority or highest priority, it might be that. And so we got to look at that quite differently than we do right now. The beliefs we have about healing often hold us back, and self care, detoxing, chemicals, actually kind of using our own instincts and following our body messages and signals is going to be a part of this. So, without wasting any more time, let's get into this. I'm really going to try and touch on these quickly so that I don't have this long winded thing. It's just an effort for us to go through quite a few points to look at little things in your life that you can improve. And each time you add one, each time you take in another piece of the puzzle, you're just going to elevate yourself a little bit higher each time with healing. And so anything you're doing right now will only be enhanced by all these other little things you do. And on that point, I should also share with you, a lot of you know that I am a big advocate of redox molecules. It's really just for our cell health. There's also the gel. And it's interesting when I talk about, say, a knee injury, the gel is proof of that, because you put it on 3 times in 5 minutes and you will within minutes see huge relief. But it works also the same way that the cells in your body are working, is that it's calling for more assistance. It's bringing more blood, it's bringing more oxygen, it's bringing more nutrients to that injured area and helping it to get the signal to heal itself. And that's what we want. So that's why I'm a huge advocate of these products. We already have them in our body. They are just augmenting natural healing. But what's really cool is that anything else you do is enhanced by these. So if you improve your nutrition, if you start increasing your exercise and fitness, if you're taking vitamins and minerals, you will see what you normally see as little improvements with those things. They are enhanced and magnified with this product. So that's really the key thing that I promote, and that is the reason why it will help your body heal like it's naturally meant to heal. So stress, I say this a lot. I wish I knew a way to really enforce the magnitude of this factor. We cannot heal if we are in a stress state, and we're all living in a chronic low grade stress state. Your body cannot repair if it is in a stress state. It will never get the signal to work on those things. And I'm not a hypocrite by giving you this advice, because it literally took me the majority of my life to accept that that was really true and real. But if you are not consciously doing something every day to work at bringing down your nervous system and trying to bring yourself a little bit out of that chronic stress state. And when I say chronic stress state, I mean, just always having to think about what you got to get done, having to schedule things so you can manage them all. You know, if you're ever going to bed and you wake up and go, "Oh, I got to write this down," that sort of means you're in this heightened level of awareness, and it is impossible for your body to get into the zone to read all the messages to know where healing is needed. Where I recommend you start is that if you can take 3 stops a day for 2 minutes. Stop, close your eyes, but and take a breath in. Take any breaths in, continue to breathe for the 2 minutes. If you can do that 3 times a day, you are going to make such a monumental difference in your nervous system resetting so that it can start fresh. If you can't do that, you know that you're in a state that your body cannot even get yourself there, let alone last for the 2 minutes, let alone schedule it, keep committed to it. It's such a simple thing to do. But if you do it for even a week, you will notice a huge difference. And if you're trying to, say, lose weight or gain more energy or heal parts of your body, especially if you potentially have any hormone, even slight imbalance, you need to do this every day so that at least you can start to then decipher where you need to work on and what's going on. You can't even read your body signals if you can't get your body down to that ability to rejuvenate. It doesn't happen just in a couple of days. Your body will fight it just because it doesn't normally go there. You just want to keep trying to do it however you can get it done. Hydration. I'm going to talk to you about hydration because I've been working on this with a lot of people lately. We are not hydrated. I am finding some of the most highly committed people to health and nutrition are drinking water all day and still showing symptoms of dehydration. So it's not your typical like lips are chapped, and but what it really means is that if you don't keep up that water for a couple of days, you notice you're really dehydrated or you notice sort of fatigue or fogginess, you shouldn't become dehydrated that fast if you're someone who's drinking water all day. And what it means then is we haven't kept in the nutrients that help us absorb water, and so we're actually detoxing with water more than we're hydrating our tissues and our organs and all of our body. So that means you need some of the minerals back in your body. There's concentrated minerals, which are natural electrolytes. It doesn't take very much. Ironically, people are finding when they add that to their water that they actually have, just like when your body's healing, the symptoms are spikes. So they kind of have almost greater dehydration. But what that means is it's woken up the cells in the tissues. It's now taking the water in and it's literally pulling it from everywhere. So it's, you want to find a balance of water with minerals and all that kind of stuff. But sodium works very different in your body than we really understand. And there's also a sodium potassium ratio that we want to keep. So those all play a role in whether you're properly dehydrated. So drinking water all day does not mean your body is actually hydrating. So very important to make sure that your hydration is working effectively for you. Also, purchased water versus is very depleted or basically stripped of those minerals that you need. And then, other sources of water are often treated, so be cautious of those. Try to get the best source of water that you can, add the trace minerals, and start to slowly see the difference. um, Vitamins and minerals. Okay, every situation that's going on with our body, especially if we are also taking medicines for some of those conditions, can mean that we have vitamin and mineral deficiencies. Some of them are really easy to acknowledge, but you want to consider what those deficiencies are, because it can really enhance what you're doing for yourself. It can also help to recover the underlying issue that you might be taking some of the treatments for. So why not give your body what it needs that maybe contributed to that even happening in the first place, that can contribute to augmenting your immune system, and maybe really has the ability to eradicate some of the symptoms. So vitamin and mineral deficiencies related to the symptoms that you are seeing are very important to investigate. And vitamins and minerals are not made equally. I encourage you to always go to at least a health food store, consult a nutritionist there. I help a lot of people sort of figure out what direction they need to take. And it's just important that the source that you get these vitamins and minerals from is the best that you can possibly find. Breathing. We talked about a little bit with stress reduction. There's something you want to practice though, and it's we a lot of us don't do it naturally. It's breathing through our nose, and I know there's a lot of controversy over all of this. I think it's important. There is no other animal that actually takes air in through their mouth. For a lot of animals, it's actually temperature regulation. For us, it can be too. But spending some time working nasal breathing out through your mouth, in and out through both, is important to work on. It's kind of the fastest way we get oxygen into our system, that it's absorbed the best with the best source and the best quality is through our nose. And if you think about it, sometimes if you look at yourself, I always thought of this. I'm like, really, which is the best way? When I breathe through my mouth, I look like this. And when I breathe through my nose, I like this. So, which looks like it might serve you better? Anyway, you don't have to believe me in that theory, but it's something to consider, that you want to be consciously, if anything, you want to be consciously taking your breaths in deep into your system, holding them there for a second, and breathing it all out. Your body needs that, and that's the best way for it to take the time to get the most amount of oxygen. It also has the time for the tissues to absorb it a little bit, and to know oxygen has huge healing factors and properties to it. So oxygen actually has the ability to kill off some bad bacteria. So you really want to take this seriously. This isn't just about feeling better with a little bit of air. This is about getting it all in and helping our system. Exercise. We always think of exercise when we want to feel better. It's kind of our main go-to, and I really encourage you to take that seriously, but to do it in a way that you feel you can do for the rest of your life. You want to start to incorporate little things in your week that are something you would consider doing forever. So whether it is going to a gym, whether it's starting to bike, whether it's to do a yoga routine, it also doesn't have to be the same way every time. So if you take yoga, you can YouTube a video, 5-minute yoga routine. You can go to a yoga class. You can have a private yoga session with an instructor. You can get some friends together and do one and each share your favorite exercise. So it doesn't mean you have to do things one certain way. So maybe you go to a personal trainer once or twice a week, and then you have exercises that you do in between, or you go swimming some of those days, or you go to a CrossFit class, or it doesn't have to be the same thing all the time, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to always go out and do things out there, because even sometimes when you're on an off day of maybe your full fitness regime, you do a 2 or 5 minute stretching ritual. But you want to get it to be something that you do a little bit every day. Your body is meant to move every day. So if some days are a big workout with a trainer, the next day doesn't have to be the same thing, but you still want it to be something. And the more you give yourself opportunities to do little different things and put different things together, your body will love you for it. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't mean buying a big machine that sits in your basement. It just means that you want to always be trying new things, but keeping little things that work for you no matter what the circumstances. I always suggest having at least a 2 minute workout that you can do in your bathroom if you had to. You want to always just have something that reminds you that every day I'm committed to doing this for your body. And health wise, your body needs that movement to flush things out, to get your blood circulating, which is purifying a lot of things in your system. I mean, I could go on forever, but you just really want to start to add little things in that don't overwhelm you. Doesn't have to be an hour-long run every day. It just has to be little things that as you get comfortable with them and do them on a regular basis, then you can add more in or try new things. But it's the consistency that's really important here. Your body is meant to move every day. Simplifying. Okay, so here's basically the problem here is a lot of these things we think about doing add a little bit of time, right? And if you take my theory that we're only adding just a little bit of effort every day, you're adding a little bit of effort on a few things. And so, of course, you're not going to change all of these things in one day. But you also want to be looking for ways to simplify your life. In other words, you want to be looking for ways to make health have a part of your schedule, because I think it's safe to say we are all too busy to add more right now. So even if it's for good reason, even if it's for good change and for your health, if you aren't simplifying something, you simply have to recognize you don't have the time to do this. And so you want to consider, is it important that you have time to improve your health? Or is it possible that there's something less important that you can say no to, something that you can just make easier, something you can delegate? Or maybe I'll tell you, my favorite thing I did is I decluttered my whole house. So it gave me more time just from cleaning and organizing and all of those things. And it literally was the best mental um, th- thing I could have done for myself, was to get rid of a lot of the junk around me. And on that note, it will also give you an opportunity. If you simplify things, you may actually find more room to work out. Like, it gave me room where I could leave a yoga mat and some weights and just know that I could always go to that space and just have a few minutes if I kind of didn't plan anything more for the day. Nutrition. Nutrition. Oh, it feels so complicated. The truth is, we all know how to eat better. So that's really not the problem. But the problem is, we also love what we know we shouldn't be eating. And that's really not as big of a problem as we realize either. What we need to do is just we need to quit focusing on what not to eat. We need to start focusing on what we need to add. In most cases, for people, it's adding more vegetables. It's actually a great source of protein. We want to get off the synthetic proteins and start to put real proteins back in our diet to help us. And the best way to do that is augmenting them with our vegetables, because we absorb, even though they might be lower levels of protein, we absorb them really well. But you want to just look for ways to continue to put the good things in and quit trying to play the willpower game and take the other things out, because let's be honest, it hasn't been working. It's way too hard. We haven't been successful doing it that way at this point. So let's try a new approach. The other thing I will say to people is the best place to start with nutrition is look at your breakfast, especially even if you can look at it for a significant number of days of the week. I know for some people it'll change on the weekend versus the week, and that's fine. Just work on where it makes sense to work on it, because when we're eating heavy carbs from grains and sugars, and really a lot of our breads and cereals have so much sugar in it, we have started, it's sort of where are challenged with insulin the most part of the day. And then as we add to that situation by eating those things, we've made it worse, and you've really started your whole day off at an imbalance. And so that's really actually going to add more stress to your body and add less ability to handle sugars. You actually handle them better throughout the day. So if there's an area, I suggest a few things. For some people is to not force feed yourself as soon as you wake up, to kind of go where it makes more sense and you feel sort of relaxed and able to have a proper meal. But look to lighter things that maybe are more fruits or proteins or those kind of things. um, and you will sort of already sort of start off your day feeling a better sense of nutrition, and then work from there. And also doesn't mean to with nutrition that you have to be so perfect all the time, because, well, again, we aren't. We try and then it falters. So it's really not working for us that way. So start there and allow yourself some leeway and just keep working towards improving it. And then your body won't be so resistant to it when you don't feel you have to do something or not do something. You want to kind of start to experiment and try with better options, and kind of enjoy the process as you go. And then your body won't resist and always be thinking of the other things you're trying not to eat. Um, Nature. We have to get out in nature. We have to get outside. I know it's tough in Canadian winters, even if you step outside and take some breaths of fresh air when you don't have the opportunity. But it's really also just a fundamental thing that we really should make the effort to get out and be out there every day, because that is also where our body does rebalance for us. It's kind of a natural, people refer to it as grounding, and it's really true. Like the trees, the grass, the ground emit a frequency that balances us. It calms our nervous system. And then we know, even mentally, just looking at nature and looking around and kind of pulling ourselves out of all the stuff from before we went for the walk and all the stuff coming after we went for the walk, that when we can be in the moment in nature and take those things in, the stimulation it gives us is actually very calming. And so it's really just sort of a natural relaxer that, even if you only have 10 minutes, it's going to do so much good for you. Please take it seriously about what nature has to offer for you. It's not just a feel good piece, it actually has physical um, reactions in our body that are going to help us out a lot. Energy and emotions. If we're going into the holidays, we know that being around some people, places, busy places, where even people are out shopping and buying lots, and it's crazy busy with a lot of people are stressed. There's a lot of situations that will drain us of energy. We sort of feel the intenseness of everybody around us, but when it's really busy or when it kind of has, complicated relationships, it's going to be taking energy from us. It's really important that you consider that the rest you need before, the recovery you need after, the good nutrition you need to help yourself, the exercise you need for stress relief, all of those things are going to be helpful right now to get you through what is going to drain you from the outside. So it's important to be taking care of yourself from the inside. And as you know, emotions, I always talk about this, emotions are energy running through your body. They're energy in motion. That's what it is. So pay attention to what those are. And when your emotions feel like they're not very feel good, then take the time to do nice things for yourself. And when they do feel good, enjoy them, notice them, pay attention to what's causing those feel good emotions. And all of that will help you maintain and build energy to get through these tougher situations. Thoughts and self talk. It's amazing that, and I'm going to tell you how. So, when I was so chronically sick for so many years, I went through this debate of, um, do I wish for more health and be disappointed, or do I accept where I am and just accept that? And it really complicated how I felt, like how I thought things through. And so I realized that really what it is you want this. You don't necessarily, and we're sort of taught to push through illness, right? Don't pay attention to it, push through, just ignore it, it'll go away. And that isn't exactly true in the sense that, so many times what our nervous system will do is it's telling you there's an issue. So I got a sore shoulder, got a sore shoulder. You ignore it, you ignore it. And over a long period of time, it will stop sending the signals. So that pain is signals telling you that something needs to be done, that it needs attention, it needs help. And so often, sometimes, then, say you develop a sore hip and people will do something and their hip starts to improve and then they notice the shoulder again. Well, your body also has sort of a priority setting. So imagine that it's like, oh wow, you really got to do this work on this hip and fix this. But once that's alleviated, then it brings up the other one. So we'll feel like, oh, it's back. But it's possible that we almost just sort of stop the nervous system from sending us signals anymore because we weren't listening. So it's really important to be listening. And so, as much as we want to ignore and pass through, I don't think that's right. We don't want to dwell on it and also just notice the issue all the time, but what you want to be saying to yourself. And this is really the premise of everything we're going to talk about tonight. What can I be doing to help this? So maybe it's putting heat on it. Maybe it's putting ice. I always say heat is the comfort. It's actually really healing in that it draws blood to the area. So it will bring up more healing properties to it. If it's swelling that's uncomfortable, then yes, the cool or the ice will take down some of that, so that can be manageable. So you want to sort of consider it could just simply be taking time off to sit in a place that's comfortable. Maybe it's elevated, maybe it's in a position that's just really relaxing, and allow yourself to be there a little bit longer than you might. We think that we're being soft or not being lazy by doing those things, but your body needs time to heal that. And so every time you do something caring and helpful to it, then you're going to help the process. You're also letting your system know that you're paying attention to those signals, and it will continue to send them when it has the opportunity to remind you or let you know where it is. So you want to be always asking the question when you don't know whether you're dwelling on an illness and you feel kind of hypochondriac, or you don't know whether to be doing something proactive, just be asking yourself, what can I be doing right now to help this? We actually have so lost that natural instinct to do that. If you imagine an animal, if it has a sore paw or a cut or something like that, it's going to lick it. And it's going to lick it with the intention of drawing blood to the area and helping it heal. It's keeping it clean, but it's also stimulating the area so that the blood comes to it. But we are so busy and try to overlook all of these things, is that we don't stop and do the simple things we can to help that part of our system heal. And it could literally be sleep. And because sleep is one of the most important things we will ever do to help our body heal. Because here's the thing, there are healing activities that happen in your body that can only happen in your sleep. No medicine, no natural product, no process, no mind over matter can do some of the healing properties that your body can do in your sleep. So if you're having trouble sleeping and there's something you want to heal from, You want to work on improving your sleep. Yes, you can take natural supplements to help with that. Maybe you want to look at what you do in the evening leading up to it. You want to look at your environment while you're sleeping. You want to look at ways of reducing the stress that may be keeping you up at night. You just want to keep working on little things that will help your sleep. I really benefit from a bit of a routine before I go to bed because it also will start your natural melatonin production when you develop a routine that's long enough before you get into bed, because your body will start to then recognize that routine as, oh, this is what we're doing. It's time to start producing melatonin. So anything you do to kind of help that production, it's really powerful in helping you with your sleep. If you're dealing with stress, eating sugars, all those things can really affect your cortisol levels, and that can really affect your sleep. If you're one of those people that falls asleep for a little bit right away and then you wake up even sort of around 11, 12, 1 kind of thing, you're probably dealing with cortisol imbalances, at least sort of adrenal issues, imbalances, and really just in general, a lot of hormone imbalances, even if they're subtle. We have so many hormones. Those are what are telling our body to do all of the processes we do. They're the ones that regulate the our circadian rhythm, right? Which is when we go to sleep, when we wake up, when we feel tired, and so any little imbalance in those hormones, which is your messaging, can cause disruptions. So you want to be looking at all the things that will help balance those. And that's literally everything that we are talking about. So, beliefs and self care, there's a lot of things where our beliefs really hold us back, like that this is in my family. It's aging. I just got to accept it. I never sleep well, so I'll just never be able to change this. You can improve all of these things regardless of the other factors that are playing a role. So never accept the ultimate truth, never accept this full health situation just because of the beliefs or the little pieces of information you have that suggest you have to believe that it needs to be this bad. It can always be better. Take it from me, who was misdiagnosed for so long that there was going to be very little improvement, at most never full improvement. And I believe that I have 100% improvement. So never accept that it's possible. Did it take a long time? Yes. Did it take me looking at all of these things in full depth and trying everything and doing lots of treatments and incorporating every little piece together? Yes. What people often ask me, well, what was the one thing that worked? And I don't believe that's how health works. I don't believe that there is one thing. And so maybe some things work better than others. I don't know. Maybe they all were necessary. It's hard to know. But the important thing is that there's so many little things we can be doing ourselves, that why wouldn't we also add those onto our regime and take them seriously? Don't just try one thing for your sleep and then when it doesn't work, give up. That's not how it works. How we find what works for us is to continue trying little things, tweaking them, and also allow things enough time that you can be sure. If you're not sure how much time something should take, I would say if it's worth trying, you should give it a month, because you want to see whether it really can make a difference. And because we're nature, because we work in cycles, we work in 24-hour cycles, we work in weekly cycles, we also work in monthly cycles, especially lunar cycles. So, that's really kind of something you would want to look at to at least give something that you're not sure about enough time to work. So, detoxing, don't have enough time tonight to get into it. It's such a massive area to go into, but we need to know, one, that we are exposed to toxins every day. And that's really important to remember because your body needs help detoxing those. So yes, those can be done with supplements. Yes, they can be done with water, and so you want to know the difference between when you're hydrating and when you're detoxing with water. It can definitely be done with a lot of natural foods. Of course, fitness and exercise, very important to doing that. And as well, sleep. Your body actually detoxes some things in its sleep. And if you eat before you go to bed, it never gets to that point so that it can actually detox anything. And then what you do when you first wake up, whether you have normal bodily processes, whether you flush out with water or you just go to something dehydrating and things don't function as well, you need to be knowing that things are moving through your system effectively several times a day. That's what's natural and normal, to know that we don't have toxins sitting inside of us. But the truth is, we're exposed to tons of chemicals even every day. And you also have to assume that sometimes those are stuck in our tissues, they're in our joints, they can be causing problems in themselves. So sometimes you just need to take a break from certain things. It could even be cleaning supplies, it can be fake chemical fragrances. All of these things add up to make a big difference. And mostly for people that are trying to lose weight, a lot of these things, toxins outside and inside of our body, cause inflammation in our body. So it's not always weight from calories and fat. It quite often can be inflammation that's just our body trying to heal us from these toxins. So detoxing in subtle, natural ways are really important to helping your body discover real health. And then the last, well, kind of say the last two, they're sort of almost a bit one and the same. I call one presence and the other one instincts. And so you really want to take the time every day to check in with yourself. And so, especially when they say like, anxiety is us dealing with the past, and fear is us dealing with the future. So sometimes you just want to bring yourself into the present moment. And it's uh, kind of the place that generally, if you look at it, everything is okay in that moment, and it's a new starting ground. So if things have been overwhelming and you feel like there's a lot bringing you down in your body and your mind, then just come back to this moment, come inside of yourself and say, I'm starting from this moment on, and this is my fresh start to do one little step at a time towards feeling better. And one way I think we can do this really easily, and I like this one because you can do it when you're you're around other people or in a tough situation, because they might not even know you're doing it. But close your mouth and just rub your tongue up around the roof of your mouth. Just notice the shapes and feeling of the roof of your mouth. You can run it along your teeth and notice your teeth. You can run it all through your mouth and pay attention to what everything feels like. And as silly as this sounds, what it's done is it's brought you back into your body. It kind of gives you a fresh start. And I will encourage you at that point to then just say to yourself, how am I doing? And it could be that something hurts in your body. It could be that you're feeling something that doesn't feel so good. And just recognize it. And then you ask yourself the question, what is something little I can do right now or very soon to help myself feel better with this situation? There's always something little you can do. I even say, it could be a cup of tea. If sometimes to sit down with a warm cup of tea makes you feel better, whether it's a physical or mental, emotional ailment, sometimes it's nice to have these little things that just help us deal with whatever we're dealing with. But it's really important to come into yourself and make sure that you're checking on what is going on and what you can be doing to support yourself. And so when I say that presence rolls into instincts, I think that's really important here, because I think if we take that second, we have the ability to heighten our instincts a little bit. If you take a pause, you actually heighten your creativity. And your instincts are what sort of fuel your creativity, and you have the ability then to actually problem solve better than you would have been under a stressful situation. And so you may find creative solutions to help yourself with these situations, but it's just going to help you see things more clearly, help you help yourself. And more than anything, when our body tells us something, and I think as a society we've been led to get away from this idea, but when our body tells us we need rest, when we need sleep, whether we need a break from people, whether we need a break from activity, whether we need to say no to something that we actually maybe wanted to go to, but now we don't anymore. Those are your instincts speaking to you. And we sometimes believe, oh, we should do this, or we always cop out, or I always need extra sleep. But your body is telling you that for a reason. And sometimes the more we listen to those moments, we then maybe have more energy to do 3 times as much as we could have after resting when we didn't think we had time to do it. Or we feel more energized the next time we go to an event or see certain people we may have missed. Your body is never really lying to you, but you really want to start to get in the mode of self care to know that what it's telling you is really in your best interest. And as you do these little self care things that you get inklings to do and start to see the benefits from it, you will start to trust yourself more when you need to listen to those messages and when they're valid and helpful. But the truth is, if we don't stop long enough, if we don't take those at least 3 stress breaks during a day, check with ourselves, see what's going on, then we're never going to hear those signals and never know what to do to help ourselves. So I packed a lot in there. I know I just really have touched on a tip for each one, a tip or two. And so it's a lot to take, but as you can imagine, if you did a little tweak in all of these areas, it can have a very huge impact. Trust me, this is where I have gone, and I won't say that all the other interventions that you can utilize are helpful too, but the real progress is gained when we don't rely on all one avenue to heal us, because all of these things are really supporting our body's natural ability to heal, and our body doesn't have just one avenue that helps it heal. So everything we do, our nervous system, our hormones, our immune system, our digestion, the nutrients, the hydration, it all plays a role in helping our body heal. So we have to look at it all. And I can promise you, the last thing I will leave you with, I'm going to promise you this: do not accept that you can't get any better. You can always help yourself heal better from where you are, always. So I promise you, it'll always be worth the effort. Always focus on what you can do and not what is going wrong, because that's only going to show you more of what's wrong. You want to be looking for how you want things to be right. Allow your body to speak to you, allow it to give you ideas, and move you in the direction of the solutions, because there always are more things that we can be doing to help ourselves heal. Good luck, all.